Thank you for listening to the Tattness podcast on the Tattness Co. Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, a Mercedes kind of sentiment, luxury and trust in me to honor the free we all should be. It seems my sundial burst into yin and yang, right and left me and...
What's cracking, y'all? Welcome to the Tattness podcast. It's your boy Tattness. I am joined today by a really cool guest. He is a fascinating dude. He's an event coordinator, event planner, SohoJohnny. Really cool guy, man. And we talk about some pretty deep shit, life in general, loss, success, careers, everything under the sun. And he was really cool, man. He's a really deep guy. He's a New Yorker and just a really chill individual. I look forward to meeting him in December, and we kind of know all the same people. All the celebrities that we know are kind of mutual friends, and we're friends now too, so that's really cool. It was an honor to get to know him and become friends with him. Really nice guy, sweetheart of a human being, and we just had a really deep talk. It was nice. So I hope you dig it. I hope it means something to y'all the way it did me, because it's things we can all relate to. We've all had loss. We've all had life happen. Sometimes life just, hits you so hard, and, you got to find your way of getting back to your feet and saying, all right, let's go. Keep pushing forward. And I think he's a great example of that. Hope you dig it. Check it out. All right. So how's it going? Anyway, everything on your end good?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, I'm keeping it real here with, different shows in the pipeline and collaborations and doing some recording. For me, are we on now? Or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show, Keith.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure.
We're just having a great time in what we're doing and how I ended up in the place that I am. It's not really about me, though. I want to preface it by saying that it was like organic growth to how SohoJohnny came to be, or the platform SohoJohnny, to speak of. So usually I just go back a little bit in time and I tell people about myself to see how, we got to where we are. And my parents came from Manhattan, and 4 generations on my father's side in Soho, actually going on 5 generations, and just working there and just making a living. Immigrants, like many of our listeners right now, that came to the country with nothing. And they salvaged to make a couple of shekels here and there, maybe from cardboard. I guess you would have called it recycling in the early on times, although there wasn't looked upon as anything as optimistic as that. And fast forward to my father's generation. They had a trucking business, and they just worked mostly in downtown Manhattan. They serviced buildings and transportation, and actually still recycling, so to speak, with. And at some point, I got involved with real estate in the 80s. But I'm going to stop there for 1 minute and just backtrack to my grammar school days, where originally, I was brought up very, very young in grammar school in Manhattan, a major complex called Peter Cooper Village, or Stuyvesant Town. It's major. It was built by MetLife. It's a big part of the lower Manhattan. And from there, my parents had moved to where my mother came from in the Bronx, to the sister complex that MetLife built, just almost mirror images of each other, called Parkchester. And there was an apartment there, and then I was probably, 4th grade, whatever, 5th grade. And then when I was a child, even in grammar school, I was kind of the practical joker, okay? I was just wired that way in my DNA. I kind of owe it a little bit to my mom, because my mom was always into music and entertainment. And, if it wasn't for that generation, which it was much harder, she probably would have went a lot further. But having music in the house, and they ended up eventually buying a house in the Bronx, and it had a garage in the backyard. And I guess because of just my being, the practical joker, the fun guy, always looking to get people to smile, as a kid, and it's funny because we'll talk about my mom in a minute and all these old pictures. because I'm looking at these old pictures, and even now it's dawning on me. My God, I was that guy. I was a ham even when I was a kid. And and somehow all my friends, and then friends of friends, and people I really didn't know, came to my garage, my parents' back garage, and it became a hangout in the neighborhood. Now we're going back to the late '60s, early '70s, and the boogie down Bronx back then. There was gangs on the streets, and there was a lot of discord. I mean, I could I don't want to talk about today because today, of course, is kind of like an anomaly what's going on now today. But back then it was very, very interesting. And I think all the kids' families were glad that we were back in that garage. And so what was I do? I was the master of ceremony. By default, I had the black light, I had the strobe light, and I was having a great time. My friends were partying, and I just did rock music at the time, which was prevalent, which is now classic rock. All the the great musicians, everyone from The Who, Rolling Stones, a little bit Beatles, the list goes on, Pink Floyd. And I just loved it. So I just kept going from there, and I kind of started doing reunions and these other occasions, and I used to bring people together, then speak for a long time, different branches of my family. DJ'd a little bit, not really super professionally, but like with private parties and everything. I just got into the music. Then the advent of what was then classic disco, now classic disco, and it just continued. Now, the funny part about this, Keith, is, I was a very nervous kid, okay? I had great parents independently. I was very, very blessed. But, it was one of those, jokes that they say, well, you were married 40 years, but you only spoke 20, right? So, but they were bucking heads a lot when I was a kid, and I was a nervous kid. I used to stutter. At some point in my time, I just said, I'm just going to master this and become a lot more articulate. It's like we were talking before the show about just, like you had that great analogy that when you're a kid, you get up 50 times to learn how to walk. When you're a toddler, it'll fine, but you don't just say, okay, this is not for me. You're going to continue walking. So, it's just kind of wired in our DNA that way. So I made it a point. I self-consciously say to myself, I'm going to overcome this fear, and I love entertaining, and I love people, any positive energy of making people smile. And I just, and I eventually got over it. But fast forward, the trucking business, I got involved with real estate, and in the 80s, I started a real estate company. I had properties in my family before that. They gave me a start, and we did a lot. I got involved somewhat with entertainment and pop-ups and events, and I rent out to fashion companies, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, one thing about working in Soho, and obviously my 4 generations in Soho was what my friends started calling me SohoJohnny. That's how the moniker was birthed, right? And we just started doing more of those shows. And my dad had passed over 25 years ago from cancer. And I was mourning, of course, and I just said to myself, I said, I really want to take this energy. We all go through stages of death. We have to allow ourselves to grieve because it's very healthy. People, you shouldn't hold that in. It's not healthy. I want to take this and do something positive, in his name, and for everyone else that's affected by cancer, which is everyone is like 1/3 of society at any given time. And I started doing charity shows, like for the American Cancer Society, and just doing things and giving back. And I found that in doing that, I got so much love from the audience and from the fellow artists that would come to support me that just brought me into a different level, into a different zone. And again, all this was organic. I never really set off that I want to go in this career. I'm just really just a guy behind a desk, That's all I really was. I still consider myself that. And just being lucky because I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing. It's not always easy to do a show. There's so much work that goes into it. Most of the audience doesn't realize that. And so the stress, we got to get this in time. Is this person going to have this act has to be say whatever, and everything has to be sequenced with songs, the time tracks and everything, the sound system. But, I love the challenge. And so I was doing these cancer gigs, and I had, I'll give you an example of one. I mean, last year I did an all-day festival for American Cancer Society, and it was classic disco, mostly driven. And I had Denny Terrio. I was blessed to have him come out and co-host it with me. He was great. Now, the audience knows him as he was the original host of Dance Fever. I think it was in the 70s. He taught John Travolta how to dance, you know.
Wow.
Very, very cool. And these are, famous disco bands, Tavares, Fonda Ray, Sharon Brown, Double Exposure, Instant Funk, Arnold Carmichael and Radio, Planet Patrol, Harold Melvin's Blue Notes, Jimmy Bohorn, and I actually, Constantine Marolos, although he wasn't disco, he's more contemporary, fantastic voice for you. The audience knows him, of course, from Rock of Ages. Great, great guy. And I actually had also joining me, I call him the royal, kind of like royalty of disco. He was the DJ on Saturday Night Fever, and he had a famous song back in the day called "Get Dancing," discotheques and the sexolettes. Oh, my chiffon is wet, my wig is wet. Monty rocked the dirt. I loved the man. I call him my Mr. Magnificent, and he came there, and it was so special. We got so much love and so much fun. We raised money for cancer, and just taking people away from their lives a little bit. And no matter what's going on, I mean, this was before the pandemic. It's even more relevant now with what's going on, right? But to be able to pull that off and to get that reciprocity of love and support and people coming around is a very, very special part that life could offer us. If it just depends on what we have in our mind. I mean, on my website, I put different phrases. My website, SohoJohnny.com, SohoJohnny.com, and I have a mailing list. But every day is a blessing and a gift. It's very, very simple. If we all could wake up with that attitude, again, similar to what you and I were just talking about, just saying, I'm going to get up, or I'm going to exercise, I'm going to do this, before you let your brain talk you out of it, all right, and just do it. And then all of a sudden you're on the track. You're more proactive, you're more healthy, you're more engaged. And if you have a positive mental attitude, and just realizing that we're all here for a temporary period of time, nobody lives forever, and our days are counted. I don't mean that in a negative way, I just mean in a realistic way.
Absolutely.
Maybe if we have that attitude, the way we'll interact with other people could be, a little bit better, even if it's putting a smile on someone's face, an elderly woman, just kind of can make her day, just making somebody laugh, or somebody you don't even know. Because at the end of the day, we're always role models to each other. It doesn't matter if it's this little bit or this much, or even if you're not an entertainer, we make a difference on someone else in some small or large way. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look at, and what you have. I attribute also part of SohoJohnny to how lucky I was to have what I call like a double education, being brought up in the city, okay, which is one of the greatest melting pots of the world, of having all the diversity of ethnic backgrounds and different people from all walks of life, and just working together, coming together. And when you have all that, variation of difference, and you put it together, it can create beauty and be productive. I believe that's another education of itself, and I was fortunate to have that. So I guess moving forward here, we've done shows. I have a lot of things in the pipelines. I've got a lot of opportunities that have come my way because of that. And again, I just want to preface again, it's not about me. I call myself the accidental tourist in all this, Keith. I really am. I'm kind of like almost a passenger on the bus, and they say, oh shit, I have to ride the bus. I just got to pick where we're going, right? And I tell people, make sure you ride the bus of your life. Don't be a passenger, because you'll end up most of your life going by, and I got to have set goals and go somewhere, right? And be focused on that, right? But I'm collaborating with people, my buddy Scott Page now, and a major project to bring people out and bring people up, very up projects, and he's very, very much high on technology. We're collaborating on something. We're doing a tribute song we're co-producing right now from 69, 25. We're making and that's going to be released soon. I have another release coming out. I have some artists that I represent. Very select. I really don't do much of that much anymore, but for some select fews I will. And I have another show in the works where I'll be it's probably, and this is kind of a little teaser, so it's probably a little premature, but I'm going to give you the scoop on your show. It's kind of something that is Broadway related in Manhattan, and it's going to be about giving, awarding, entertainers on Broadway that have given back in their own way, and just giving them a salute and shout out and recognition, because I think that's so important. And while I'm talking about it, I'm going to give you a shout out right now for having this show, because having the light on for the people that listen to you is also so relevant and so important for what everyone's going through now. So I take my hat off to you too as well, Keith, for
I
having
appreciate that, man. That's high praise, I think we have to, in many ways, take responsibility and just kind of give people something, even if it's entertainment, or if, some days it's not so much entertainment, where some days it's just kind of giving people what they need to hear, and let them know, like, it gets better. It's going to be fine, no matter what they're going through, because no matter how dark they're going through, something like super dark, I guarantee you, I've been there. I've gone through it. So it's like, trust me, I am proof that there's light on the other side of the tunnel. You just got to hang in there.
But we just keep going. I've got another show that, and all these things are going to be released in some final announcements. That's going to be kind of rock meets children shows, children platforms. We're putting something together that's going to be very exciting. But the common denominator in this is, and this is kind of the secret sauce of many different performers out there, and we talked about as well, is passion. When you have that passion, that light inside you, it drives you, and it gets you over. It gets me over from being that kid that used to stutter as I was a kid. It gets you past that, and it's not about me like being on stage. It's almost like I'm not me, but it's the connection to the audience that just constantly props you up to do something. And you put that with something like a charity, you put that with fun of making people feel good, at getting them out of their lives, and then you could something that's relevant to you. I think that's a trifecta.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful to do that. And listen, social distancing is not social isolation. Okay? We could be safe, but we can still do this. Pick up the phone, call people that you haven't spoke to, crack a joke, and you can do that. That's so important. Now people are so isolated, and the statistics show that if you're in a house too long, okay, you get on, you can fight with your wife or your husband, whatever, because I guess we're social creatures, but also we're meant to have a certain amount of independence. So, and you're an MMA fighter and everything, you know how important it is for discipline. I tell people, set up a time, even though you may be working at home or working remotely, set up a time and schedule as if you're going to work. This is the time I'm going to get up. This time I'm going to work out. This is the time I got to do my research and data. This is the time I got to spend some time with the family or the kids. And you schedule it every day. And before you know it, at the end of the day, you feel good about yourself, right?
Exactly.
And we just all got to keep it real and get by and deal with the facts of what's going on in the world right now. I don't get into religion. But I think, a lot of what I'm saying is self-evident, ethical, common sense. Even if you're an atheist, what we're talking about for outreach and camaraderie and community and bringing people together is just, good-spirited, and just puts, it just elevates the feeling that you have and just working as a society. And I think that's so important now. So, listen, I've got a comic book coming out. I'm trying not to talk about myself, but this show is, I got to get into it, right? Because that's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for,
And, and it's just, listen, I'm having a ball, and I want to have, I'm very, very animated. Anybody that's been to some of my shows, like, I'm not just, someone that introduced the act, right? I am part of the act. I can't help myself. I'm a ham. I'm dancing. I'm choreographing. I practice choreography with the girls in the dance stage, and I may do some smoke routines like a Kiss concert, And, I try and give it all, because at the end of the day, you want to look back. I mean, at the end of the show, I'm exhausted. I sleep for 2 days. But, it's all well worth it. And you just, it's just, I was saying, that's the trifecta. Just I always want to have a little charity part of what I do, and fun, and just getting people out. And we might be virtual now, and it's a big part about tech, like I'm talking to Scott about. Scott says, John, you're so optimistic many times. He says, you're one guy that could take lemons and make lemonade out of it, and I'm I treasure what he did. He's done some great shows too. He's a philanthropist. I helped support him. He did a show called Dark Side of the Nam. Now Scott Page is the saxophonist of Pink Floyd.
Right.
Many of us know there, and he's got a band called Think Experience, and they're fantastic with maybe members of his band that are from all different bands originally, like Kid Rock or
They've all been on my show.
They've all been on your show. Okay, so yeah, I mean it really is a trip. So I think one of the important things is to remember to enjoy life. Life is a celebration. On my website, SohoJohnny.com, I have an email mailing list. Anybody who wants to follow what we're talking about, I'm happy to sign up and you'll be the first to know. The breath of love is spoken in the language of musical expression. Because I believe that music is the tie that binds. It's what I've chosen, music. And, I've done some acting, whatever, and I've got some more things, reality show in the pipeline, some gaming technology, and it's just fun, okay? It's just fun. And once you just get into your zone, something else comes to mind, and I'm not trying to get on a downer here for everybody, but I'm being realistic because I'm a human being just like everyone else. So one of the big inspirations was cancer, which got really close to home when I lost my dad. And I will share this with the audience. Back in May, I lost my mom to COVID, okay? And, it was really, really tough because like many other people that had a loss to COVID, you can't go to the hospital and see them. And this was back, March, April, and then April, May during when it was really spiking up. And I couldn't even have a funeral for her because I maybe 10 people, just like my brother's family and, a few other people at best. But, of course, I'm grieving and many of the people are suffering or grieving, whatever. But, I want to try and hold the line. I'm not making light of the grieving, but I'm just saying what I chose to do, and maybe other people may want to do. Again, it's a form of energy to do something. So I had a foundation I started a year ago that was on the shelf, and I was just waiting, and I activated it. It was a foundation. With a foundation, you could use it as a conduit for different charities. And some of the shows that I'm talking about, and I'll talk about more in a minute, are going to be focused on raising money for like maybe a cancer charity and COVID, somewhat COVID related for people that had a loss in their family for COVID and maybe that are financially strapped because of it. And we're working towards that end. The name of it is Let Me Help, Inc. It's fresh off the shelf, and we've got a couple of shows. One is it's going to be tied a little bit to that Broadway show that I'm talking about as well. That's going to be giving back or just giving awards. And as well as the virtual show, which is going to be Thanksgiving Eve. Again, all this will be on the website where I'm getting slowly and surely some A-listers that are coming to support the cause. And it's a journey. It's a journey for me. It's a lot of fun. It's important. And of course, business is business. I mean, it's not all charity. You've got to pay the bills and everything. Money's a necessary tool. But at the end of the day, it's just my philosophy is, the true riches in life that's going to elevate us at the end is the things, the people that we connected to that loved and have loved us, and that the type of person you were. Because when you look back on your life, when you're on your deathbed, that's what I want to have in my mind. That's what I want to think about. You're not going to be thinking about what's in your bank account. Yeah, you may want to make sure, did I leave my kids in a good standing, whatever like that. That's over here. But the big picture is bigger than everybody, right? And, I call it my mandate of humanity. I mean, that's kind of like the common thread of everything I'm touching, the reality show, the comic book, and they all have that element in there of just positive influences. And I have some original stuff coming out too. SohoJohnny, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, and we've got some interesting things on YouTube of some of my zany adventures and trips. And I mean, this was supposed to be the year that was going to explode, okay? The pandemic obviously slowed that down, so it might be next year. But the timing was just, like many people, has been devoted to planning in a lot of these projects, and it's great. We did it right with technology. And the gaming technology, we're going to have the SohoJohnny world. It's going to be interactive. A lot of fun stuff. But it's all, and this, the bottom line is, my mission is to have people have a good time. My mission is to have people just a little bit to enjoy themselves. If you could help out with a good cause, but I want you just to leave your worries at the door just for a couple hours and escape with me. And it's going to be a variety show. I'm not going to say the type of acts. It's not going to be just music, by the way. There's going to be some interesting variety shows like we had back in the day for those of the people that are a little bit older demographics, such as myself. It's a lot of fun. It's been a blessing to me, and I pray that things get better. I'm encouraged by what I see in the world. Yes, there's divisiveness and everything, but I'm positive. I see a lot of good, and companies banding about here, fighting for a cure, for the vaccine, and fighting. Everybody, so many companies stepped up for them because of the shortage of supplies and masks. And it's funny how you go through life, how different groups of people and job descriptions become heroes.
Right.
Whether it be, you could say the police force, the fire department, okay, they're heroes, first responders for 9/11, they're heroes. And now it's the medical workers, okay? We never expected in our lifetime, we didn't know what a pandemic would be, how far-reaching the effect could be. To just devastate the whole world economically, putting people out of business, whatever, it takes time. You need the real analytical scientists that study this, the data research guys that understand, and the economics can explain it better. But at the end of the day, and my real estate company, because I'm still in real estate, I rent out space, and a lot of them in Soho. I have a platform, peprealestate.com, P-E-P, like Peter, Edward Peter.com, P-E-P real estate, all spelled out, .com. And we do a lot of short-term events, because a lot of retailers want to do short-term right now. And we try to advise them as well as to be successful, because at the end of the day, landlord, tenant, or entertainment, it's about more than ever about just kind of each party giving in more than ever before in any type of negotiation to get something done, right?
Right.
Whether it be the spirit, the human spirit, the human soul, however you want to talk about now, and also just transacting, what we have to do in the business world, okay? But it really stems from your attitude and how you wake up in the morning. And it's up to you what type of prism of glasses you're going to wear in the morning. And I swear, if everybody that's listening to this broadcast now could just leave off of just one little thing that we could ask to say, just put a smile on someone's face after you leave. Doesn't matter who it is, crack it, just do something. That little positive energy is one ripple, but if we can make it for 100 ripples, 1,000 ripples, it makes a difference. It makes a difference, because mirth, entertainment, smiling, and it's actually proven to it's a form of life extension. And from your physical regimen, your discipline, just keeps the body, endorphins and exercise. It has its place, and it's a very necessary place given what we're going through.
Absolutely. I love that you touched on the divisiveness that's been going on too, because people could probably assume you're in New York, I'm over here in Canada, like what could we possibly have in common? And there's so much that you've touched on that we have in common that you and I didn't even know. For starters, like you said, loss kind of became the catalyst, I guess, for you doing what you do. I lost my son in 2018, and my goal was to make him proud. I never anticipated, like, I'm going to be known all over the world for what I do, and I'm going to have a show, I'm going to have all this craziness. It was never my goal. It was just kind of like, I got to do something to make him proud. I lost my grandfather just recently, who raised me, and no funeral because of everything going on. He's in Ontario, and there's no funeral even for the people in Ontario, and I'm in Nova Scotia now, so it's kind of and it's all the same thing that, like, you were talking about, or I feel I've said this time and time again to people. I'm blessed because I have the life I have. I get to do this for a living. I don't, I didn't anticipate all this craziness and being known everywhere and whatever, but I help so many people as much as humanly possible. And when people are like, well, man, you do so much. And, I'm like, if I don't share my blessings, I don't deserve them. That's
Mm.
my view.
I
Either
think
give
that
them.
I think what you're saying is beautiful and it's right on. I mean, and again, my prayers, and you went through a terrible loss and you'll have that for the rest of your life. But you know something? You are courageous and you're a hero.
Oh, thanks,
And
man.
rise above and to do and exactly what I just said, even to even higher level, to be able to do what you do and keep the line on. I think it's so important. But isn't it in just a little small way? For you, it probably does for me. It just gives you a little way of just getting back a little bit and just feeling good. You're doing something about it because that is what defines our life, right?
Absolutely.
Because if we all lived forever, it wouldn't be that important. I hate to
No,
say it, but that's the human mind to take things for granted, right? If we all were
absolutely.
perfect forever, maybe I don't know if heaven's like that, whatever. But right here, it's not meant to be a paradise,
No.
and
But you're 100% right.
I mean, and so that I mean, when I lost my dad 25 years ago, he was courageous. He had slow cancer. We knew it was happening, and so I kind of accepted it. And he faced it. My mom was a little bit different. She shook me because, I mean, listen, I was blessed. There's always people less fortunate than me. I had it to 93 years old. Many people are dying in their 40s or even younger, like we used to. So I still consider myself blessed, but the way that it happened, and not being able to say goodbye or anything is something that, so it's so important to remember that and realize that and treasure the people that are around you and love you, reciprocate it, and even the people you don't know, a certain amount of respect. That's what we need to spread out there more. What we're talking about, divisiveness in your world. Having differences of opinion is part of human nature. It's okay to
Right.
disagree. It doesn't matter. Matter of fact, you don't want 1,000 yes men out there.
No.
You want different opinion. That's what makes creativity. That's what makes beauty. That's how you could achieve. That's how you could build bridges and tunnels. That's how you could create wonderful shows, or do something for humanity, or find a breakthrough in medicine. It's disagreeing scientific method, but the positive approach. Everyone keeping an eye on the ball, and there's a certain amount of ethics and camaraderie. Let's work together. It's us. It's not me.
Right.
It's us. It's not me.
And to your point, like, look, for example, look at the Wright brothers. They had an opinion: we can fly. Everyone else, I'm sure, said, fly? If we were meant to fly, we'd be born with wings. You're out of your mind. And now here we are. We can go across the country, across the world, through the air, because they refuse to just be told their opinion is wrong. I have no issue with people having a difference of opinion. What bums me out is when people cannot articulate their difference of opinion on social media without being like, you're an idiot, because I'm here for you, dude. Like, I want to know your perspective, because I'm gonna take something from it and be like, that's a new point of view I didn't consider. But nobody ever said, you're right, complete stranger, I am an idiot, thanks for letting me know, and now I see things your way. That doesn't work. We need to articulate our stance and why we view it that way. Then people might be more open to understand and say, you have a valid point. And I'm not married to my opinion, because it's not a fact. It is, in fact, an opinion. So I could see where you're coming from. I mean, I hate talking politics, but I feel like there's a central, like, middle ground where both parties might get something right. And if we found a middle ground where we just take those things that each side gets correct, if that was the agenda, but let's be real, it's not. It's everybody trying to line their own pockets. It's not the greater good of the human race, let's be real. But if it was the goal, and you took the right aspects of both parties, we could have something beautiful. But that's just not the way it's going to be. That's never the motive. It's to sell you that that's the motive, but it's not. But we're not in politics. We're on social media. We don't need to be so brutal with each other. We could literally hear each other out and say, okay, I finally get where you're coming from, and I see validity to your point. Even if I don't still agree completely, I see why you feel the way you do. But just kind of as grown adults being like, you're this and you're that, it's so disheartening. And it's like, you know, at the end of the day, no matter what that view is, when you're on your deathbed, you're gonna be like, none of that mattered. You know?
It's just open-mindedness, keeping the door open for different viewpoints. And even if you disagree, it's not personal. Okay.
No.
I heard it is. I still may disagree with you, but it's not personal. And I can still break bread with you.
Right.
I don't know where it got to the point where it becomes personal, because when I was brought up, people could be whatever. And SohoJohnny is not political, will never be political. Okay. It doesn't matter. It's just about everybody. The house of SohoJohnny is open to everybody at all times. It's never closed. The virtual house of SohoJohnny that's in the works right now, the virtual world, will always be, and that's exciting. It's going to be interactive too, with people that could participate in the concerts. But there's just so much, and there's so much work to be done. I think we're going through evolving. Maybe you want to call it growing pains of society. Things became a little bit more polarized. But I think it's a phase that's going to get better in the next couple of years. I really, really do. It's always going to be, differences, but I think it's going to get better, because I think, more and more people, and a lot of these people that you don't hear from, okay?
Right.
These are not the rabble-rousers, okay? It's the real, the bulk of society, will say, listen, and they're going to be much more rational along the lines of being open-minded and compromise. Because at the end of the day, life is a compromise in every single level.
Right.
And the only thing that's constant in the universe, ironically, is the opposite, is that there's always change. We're always evolving. I'm not the same person I was when I was a studying kid in school. You're not. But, we made mistakes. We go forward. And, hopefully, we're better people than we were before, and that, people would have that opinion of us. I certainly hope so. And I'll try to do my part. And so that's what SohoJohnny is, SohoJohnny.com. SohoJohnny LLC on Facebook. I have a personal page, John SohoJohnny Pasquale, Pasquale. And I think I said earlier, Instagram, I try to put it out here for connectivity, YouTube. And, one thing I could say, if there's one thing I do take a little pride of, if I may, is that I really, really, not only do I have a good time, but when I produce a production, a performance, I have everybody raving and having a great time. And that, to me, gives me such a sense of achievement.
Right.
And if you look at social media, the shows that I do, they don't want to miss the show that I do. I guess because I'm just, zany, and I just get into it. And I guess because I'm being such a clown and so out of bounds up there doing what I do, you can't help but laugh at me. And so people throw, look what he's doing. I can let my hair down too. And let's just have a good time, right?
Right. You got to have a sense of humor about yourself. If you take yourself too seriously, nobody wants to be around that. Like, people are drawn, I think, to people that can have fun and have a sense of humor about themselves, poke fun at themselves if need be. And I think personally, that's what I love. I'll be the first to make fun of myself, just so people know, like, don't approach me like I take myself that seriously, or you can't approach me and talk to me. Like, I'll be the first to make fun of myself, just so you know, like, I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, don't you know who I am? I'm like, I'll be the first to take a dig at myself because it's funny to me,
Why not? That's just, we're all, we're very human, and it's, it's the strength of character. One of the secrets is, and some people, they can live a big part of their life and don't get it. And what I'm about to share now is it's just common sense. I'm not reinventing the wheel, but it's important to accept yourself. Forgive yourself for things that you may have done in the past. Love yourself, not in a selfish, narcissistic way.
Right.
Love yourself. And you, because you change, you're evolving, you're always going to make mistakes. That's part of how we're wired. But keep going forward, because if you could be in a good place with yourself, that's how you can relate to the next person that you're dealing with. And those are the best relationships with people that are closer to that in their own lives, because then they're together for the right reasons. There's a certain amount of codependence in every relationship, whether it be a marriage, whatever it is, life partners, whatever you want to call it. But, at the end of the day, there's a certain amount of independence and self-respect and self-love, because if you start from there, that's how you can truly accept and give love to somebody else. Now, we're saying love, but it could be small different variants and different degrees of love. Again, it could be someone you hardly know. Just that warm-hearted feeling about you that you want to imprint on somebody. And
Right.
that's what I hope everybody would do after the show when they listen to the show. Just go out and just put a smile on someone's face. That's all I would ask for this.
That's
And
right.
that would be something that would make me feel great. And again, for what you do, having the show, keeping the light on, it's so important what you're doing. Keith.
I appreciate that.
It really is. No, I really mean it. I think, and the way, the way you moderate the show, I think it's great, because it makes a difference. Trust me, it makes a difference. And for your inspiration, what you shared, I mean, bless you, because you're a role model to me. Let's put it that way.
Well, I appreciate that so much, man. It's crazy. I didn't Ask Me Anything show like in the early days. And I had somebody that was like, it's not a question, but you put out a video at one point to let people know if you had the thought of suicide at some point, you're not a coward. You're not alone. People just don't get that sometimes you hit a wall that you just don't feel you can get through. And you told me that I could contact you, and here you are in my mind anyway, on this level, and you don't know me from anybody else. And like, I could contact you rather than make a permanent solution for a temporary problem. You saved my life. And I had to take a minute, dude. I was like, I cannot process this right now. It's like, that's a lot of info to take in, but it's like, I meant every word. Like, I would rather hear your problem than read your obituary. I would rather be there for you at 3 a.m. and be like, here's my number. Who cares what I do for a living? I'm just a dude with a cool job. Here is my number. Call me if you need to, if you feel like you have nobody. And I'd rather get up and, 3 a.m. talk to you and hear what's going on and talk you down, rather than find out somebody else gave up, and so that's really heavy to have somebody kind of tell you.
Everybody goes through their ups and downs and emotional swings of your life, because stuff happens to them. Love, loss, disappointment, business, whatever, and you need to process it. It's okay to feel bad and to get down. But, to think about throwing your towel in, you don't know what someone else is going through.
Right.
You can have somebody entertain, can smile on their face, and just really good. I think Robin Williams comes to my mind.
Right.
What a great, really, the movies that he did were so touching and outreach with meaning and substance. Dead Poet Society, I forgot the other one, but I loved him. I cried when he had, I guess I'm not advocating he took his life because he knew, I guess he was going to die. I don't know what the disease was. I don't advocate that, but I could say that you never know, and you could save someone's life in the ways that you don't even know, just by being able, just like you said. I could think of one friend when I was a kid back in the Bronx, and he was like, kind of getting into trouble here and there, and he was like a quasi-tough guy that would kind of protect me and a few other people there, and just like was, it was gangs in it. I mean, I had a duality back there. I'll make everybody laugh. I mean, I was like, in school, I was like an A student, an honor student, but at night, in order to walk the streets, I had to wear colors and be like a gang, I was able to walk. I don't know how I did it, because I wasn't a tough guy at all, but, I just pulled it off. But, he was one of those guys, and he was friends, and he was very, very soulful. And, there was substance abuse and stuff like that. So as he got older, he'd reach out for me once in a while, and I could see, he was never really great with the women, and dating. And I don't know what happened. Maybe he broke up with a girl, whatever, and he would call me, but I was running around busy in my business, but I would always take his call and speak to him, but I was running around. And then I found out later on that he had committed suicide, okay? And, to this day, it enters my mind, as you're saying, gosh, you know, do I have some responsibility that not being there for him? When the calls he made to me, like for me, it was just a call from an old friend that's busy or is going through a breakup or something. Was it something that I could have done more? You know, maybe, probably. Was I too busy? Who was I that I was too busy not to help somebody? Okay. So I'll never know the answer of that question, but I'm sharing. His name was Chucky, and I send prayers for him, for his spirit and his soul. But I'm sharing this story because, fact, true story, you never know what someone else is going through. So
Right.
if you could be there for a simple call, walk somebody through whatever it is, it's fine. And especially these times, you know, there's people that are destitute, they lost their jobs, not money, they feel terrible, they have a low self-esteem. I can't put food on the table for my family, my kids. That's why I'm doing this COVID thing. I'm going to hopefully raise some money into some of these COVID families, or a few of them, that lost their breadwinner in the family. You know, and at least that it's something that I could do for my mother and for everyone else that was affected and had a loss for COVID. It's something that I can do for everyone affected with cancer. And there's many great charities out there. But I'm
Right.
going to make it, I call my shows a celebration of life, because we must celebrate life and have that on and try and outreach for other people. And that's one thing that I will always have as part of everything that I do.
That's
It's not
brilliant.
about me, but it's about us. It's about community. That's the bottom line.
And that's brilliant. I think that's so needed. You know, I think more people need to do that. And I think we all share that one thing in common. When we lose somebody, we still view it as, what if they're watching? We want to make sure, like, we treat it like they're still here. Would they approve of everything we do? And if not, then we need to step it up. We need to do better, you know? And I think that keeps us humble, that we could always do better.
I talk to my mom still, you know, because she gave me the sense of entertainment. That was a gift that she gave me with the music. My father gave me the gift of humility and humanity. He grew up through the Depression. He had nothing, but he had such a warm personality. I hope I have part of it in me, that no matter who he dealt with in business or anything, and I was a kid, I used to go to work with him and see, no matter what they had, if they had nothing, or poor people or nothing, or no matter what background, whatever, it could be where he worked in Manhattan, it was a melting pot, they would all walk away and say something good about him. You know, he had guys that would work for him. They weren't there for the paycheck. They said they would go through walls out of loyalty. They said, we'll do something for Joe. Uncle Joe, they used to call him. And, he was bigger than life as I was a kid. So I was blessed that I had two different positive influences. I mean, my parents, they had their downfall, their downside, their shortcomings as well, right? But, I like to think that SohoJohnny is a byproduct of what I took from the best of both of them. And, and to do something that is clearly 100% pure, humanity driven, just feels right. So I just hope that in a small way I could touch other people, inspire, because I know we're all role models. John at SohoJohnny.com. My email's out there if anybody wants to approach me. And it's been a beautiful journey up until now. I have all these exciting things that I shared early in the show, these concerts and whatever. Some of them are virtual here, and it's tributes. I'm going to be hosting a show, honoring these artists. One that's maybe possibly on Broadway, and by Thanksgiving, and a couple of my own songs coming out soon. And it's a matter of finding time. I'm still trying to keep the light on for I'm a real estate guy downtown, and of course we're affected by the pandemic. So every time it's like that song from Paula Abdul, that great song, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Remember that song, So, but listen, it's life. We're going to keep going, right? Not going to look back, because we're going to do looking back. Listen, you can learn from history. Nothing wrong with learning and trying to learn from history and people's mistakes. But I'm going to keep going forward.
Absolutely.
Because every day counts, because every day is less that you have to live.
Right.
And you just do it. You just keep humanity involved. Work, fight the good fight. Work, bring home whatever you got to work for. You got to be ambition's great, but just keep what's inside your moral compass. Remember to listen to the moral compass, that little angel that's on your shoulder.
That's right.
We all have it, and I believe I'm an optimist. I believe in, in what I call the mandate for humanity. I think we all have that within us. It just needs to be nurtured.
Well, for what it's worth, I mean, your father, to me, obviously from an outsider's perspective, has rubbed off on you because it's very visible to me, man. There's a lot to be said for the
Thank you.
character that you have. I see that in, like, you've left a mark and an impression on me. I'm sure every other listener, like, there's obviously a deep thinking person behind all this that has compassion for human beings, and that's amazing, and I feel like it's definitely left its mark on me. So I don't think you have to worry too much about whether or not you're gonna follow in them footsteps, because it's visible to me. Um, it's very clear. It's not blowing smoke, man. It's everything you described is what I get from you, and it's so there. And then, of course, your mom with the entertainment side. You are like that blend, Uh,
And,
it it's so clear, but he definitely taught you very well. And I think we can all learn from you, and through you, we can learn from him, because you are exactly what he was trying to put and instill in you. It's very clear to me from an outsider's perspective. It's like everything that you explained and described of him. It's like I see that through you. So it clicked.
thank you. Thank you.
Dead serious. Like, I mean that honestly. It's cool to see. It's inspiring to see. So I wouldn't worry too much, man, about whether or not you're making him proud. I mean, how could he not be? That's like heavy to see that you really got it. We do try so hard to kind of pick up on what was left to us, but I think you nailed it. I think, you definitely understood. You took it in. You didn't take it for granted when it was here. It's like you studied every bit that was, you analyzed what was being taught to you, and you really understood. So
He worked hard. He built up a business, but he never forgot where the humbleness and the poverty that he came from. He never forgot that. That was instilled in him. He served honorably in the war. He was a vet. But he had that ability, and that, even as he conducted business, nobody would. It was amazing. A lot of people are just dog eat dog or just cutthroat. He didn't have that mentality. He really, really didn't. He just tried to leave the fairness in that any type of negotiation. I was just a kid. I could go out to dinner with him, whatever. I'll take him, and he was my role model in that way. So yes, I would think he imprinted upon me in a positive way there, and I'm very, very thankful that I had the parents that I have, even if they only spoke 20 years of the 40.
hey, they made it count, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they gave us you, which is obviously we need more of that in this world. I think definitely that kind of compassion, that kind of mindset. Sometimes it's not trying to cure cancer, as much as we'd love to. Sometimes the best we could do is just entertain people and take their minds off of the gloom and doom of the what if. Because a lot of times people don't realize over 70% of what we worry about never happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody great comes
Anxiety,
Right.
especially, listen, with the pandemic, people, I'm concerned. I protect myself. I have mask here and everything, Everybody, some people have pre-existing conditions, but, you have to deal with the facts and be rational, okay? And I have to work on that with myself, it's just, you got to be grounded. Fear is nothing. Fear is the enemy. Fear there's no evidence support fear. It's just a human reaction. But the greatest fear we have is always the unknown.
Exactly.
It's funny. I mean, and probably one of the greatest things that affects us and makes it worse is isolation when you're alone.
Yep.
Things are amplified. It's just a phenomenon of the mind.
Too much time to think.
Yeah, and that's part of like for people staying at home. What about these people that are living by themselves now going through this? Okay, or widowed, whatever, or just alone, or empty nesters over there. It's important. I used to be involved in a professional dating service back in the day, years ago. It was another one of my evolutions. It was hilarious, and I learned a little bit about that behavior. Okay,
Yeah.
but I didn't. I pumped it up. I helped somebody else. I wasn't my business. I was an investor. I'll pump it up, and it ended up not turning out well at the end because there was a glitch, something with the person that was managing it, whatever. But what I learned about that is that, how many people out there are lonely, okay? These people come in and, we had people in the office that would speak to them. We would call them like almost like a life coach, and they would just help set them up with somebody with similar taste or goals, okay? And, the big part of it is just, people need someone to relate to, loneliness or who to tell their story, whatever. And, we're social creatures. So, as you were talking about when people get really down to outreach, some people could be alone and they're very strong-willed, but I think the people that do that well are the ones that had a lot of love and support from when they were kids, okay? I think they gave them a good start.
Right.
And the ones that didn't, sometimes they may go down the wrong path, but then hopefully life catches up with them, or they have good influences around them or role models to help set them on the right path so they can start feeling good about themselves, but in a wholesome way, the way it's supposed to be.
I agree. I mean, I think the people that didn't have it, being alone too long, they're left with their own thoughts and they're still in need of validation in many ways. So they need somebody to give them that. They need to feel somebody cares, even if they know in their mind it's not going to last, it's not going to work out, because you just don't feel that connection with the person, but it's better than nothing.
When you share grief, it's halved. When you share joy, it's doubled.
Right.
So true. And laughing and smiling, entertainment, it's contagious.
Right. And I think we need more of that, because then it takes the mind off of that, 70+% of things that are never actually going to happen. You don't have to worry about all that because you're too busy kind of enjoying yourself again and remembering what it's like when not everything seemed like the apocalypse. You know what I mean? Where you could enjoy yourself and not worry.
Well, the apocalypse is, a lot of people, they jump the gun and this is the apocalypse. This too will pass.
Exactly.
Everything's going to pass and things are getting better on a daily basis.
If this was the apocalypse, we'd know it.
I mean, listen, we saw the worst of it. We lived through 9/11. We lived through this, and there's going to be other things that are going to happen. There could be an earthquake. There could be another hurricane. We had a tornado not far from where I live. Now I'm in, my office is in Soho. I have another one in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I live a little bit up in Westchester County, north of New York City. And right a month ago, we had a major remnant of a hurricane. We had tornadoes rip up the infrastructure. I didn't have internet, didn't have power for a week. Okay, so you don't mess with Mother Nature. It doesn't matter how advanced we are.
Right.
It's another thing that just makes us feel grounded. These catastrophes still happen. They were biblical before we understood meteorologists, predictability, but. We don't, tomorrow is promised to no one. It's all statistical.
Exactly. And that's why I always advocate to people that are like, oh, I'll start tomorrow. I'm like, I don't know about you, but I know damn well I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Make every minute count, because I don't know I'm going to wake up tomorrow. So I'm not going to wait till tomorrow to tell someone I care or to get off my ass and do something that needs to be done or help somebody out or whatever the case may be. I don't have that ego that I'm like, yeah, tomorrow will be cool. I'm going to get up and, I'll start then. I don't know that. I don't know that in 10 minutes from now I'm still going to be breathing. Who can predict it, right? So why not start now, whatever it is you want to do, and get the ball rolling,
Well, Greetings to everybody from New York, where I'm transmitting from, and from my gracious host today. Thank you, Keith, from Nova Scotia. Beautiful, beautiful area of the world. And we're going to keep it real. And again, let's just please everyone put a smile on someone's face. As I said before, the breath of love is spoken in language and musical expression. Music, music to me, why I chose music is I can listen to a song and it'll bring me back. It's almost like a time warp, like I'm just living and feeling that first crush when I was in grammar school, or the first time my first car, or my, something special in my life, or maybe the first time you had your firstborn baby, or, those type of special moments that you can never recapture that. But music is like a companion to me. Music makes life go by just a little bit easier. And it's apolitical, and there's no divisiveness. It's just a shared enjoyment of a genre of entertainment.
And what it means to you.
And what it means, it's a form of art, okay? The definition of art to me, and I used to deal with a lot of art galleries as I would book their spaces or renting them, especially down in Soho over the years, is that, it would affect you. Even if it repulsed you, okay, even if you didn't like the art, you're being affected. So it did its job, okay? And sometimes those are the pieces that demand the highest prices, the ones that are most outrageous, okay?
Right.
I mean, we used to have Andy Warhol back in the day. He was a reclusive in one of our properties on Worcester Street in Soho, and it was one of his hideaways. And just interesting. It wasn't publicized so much as then, but it's all over the internet now. And even when I was a kid, I didn't even know. But dealt with, I just dealt with a lot of the entertainment industry just circumspectively before I was even involved with it, just through the real estate. So it's always been a parallel with me. And I think now that we have the philanthropy behind it, I think that was the secret sauce that I needed to really propel me forward. And let's everybody have fun. So anybody at the SohoJohnny show or production, one thing I can guarantee you from my heart is that we will do everything to make you have a kick-ass great time, okay? Doesn't matter what we do. It'll be a little bit interesting. Sometimes we'll be a little bit eccentric. Sometimes we're going to catch you, not what you expect. But that's what we aim to please, and we're working on the high tech now because everything is tech. Everything is tech more than ever.
It's the way it is. I mean, we have to evolve and adapt. And, when we get things thrown at us that kind of throw us off, it's like adapt and overcome. We have to. And we have the technology now to be able to do that. We just got to utilize it in the best possible way.
Well, here we are. I think we're just looking at what's the time difference between us, Keith?
For me, it's 7:22 p.m.
Okay, so you're a hour ahead of us. Yeah, we're 6:22 on the Eastern Zone, Eastern Zone, New York time.
That's not too bad compared to some places.
That's one thing that we're working on. We're going to have our own channel on the internet, so to speak, and we're going to. I was just speaking to another friend of mine that has another music oriented and deals with other artists. A great friend of mine, Lewis, and the key is to have live interaction, which is what we're going to have 24/7 from different parts of the world. Overnight, maybe China, LA would be. Might be late for New York. LA will take over, and Europe is 6 hours ahead of us, so they'll be before us in New York time. It's another thing that's coming to fruition. So there's a lot of exciting things are happening in my office right now. So I encourage everybody just to strap on, and I just promise everyone a good time. My name is SohoJohnny. I'm here to entertain you.
Beautiful. And yeah, I mean, everyone should check it out because we need it now more than ever, man. It's a lot of gloom and doom on the internet, and social media has become anti-social media. I mean, you got to have something that's positive. You got to have something that kind of makes you crack a smile once in a while, or bust out laughing, or just enjoy yourself, even, musically. And to your point, it's like movies are great, but I don't recall anybody ever saying, "Oh, that movie got me through this hard time in my life." No, it's always music. It's always like, that song got me through this breakup, or that song got me through this loss, or that song got me through this time in my life that was brutal, or this song reminds me of something amazing that happened. It's always music.
Well, you could identify with a movie about something that happened in your life, or identify with the characters and the storyline, but you're not playing that movie when you're driving home from work in your car,
Exactly.
constantly, or playing it at your house, whatever. When I was a kid, in 1965, my mom had Tom Jones, and there was a What's New Pussycat album.
Yep.
And as a child, I just kept playing that damn thing over and over. I probably drove my mother crazy because I kept in every single note I knew. And I just enjoyed it. Right after school, boom, I put that record player, the old phonograph on, and it was great. And I still have it in my phone on my list of songs. Tom Jones is still out there. What a performer. He had his own show many years ago. What a great performer. And that's part of, a lot of these artists, especially when they really climb, when they're on tour and everything, people don't realize. It's not like they see one show and they do such a great job and they're entertaining, but they kind of earn their keep, because sometimes these real people, they wake up with a bad back, or you had a fight with your wife or a husband, whatever. You still got to put your full on when you get in front of a live audience.
That's right.
You have to put your full on. Besides all the work that goes in for the production and stuff that I do or whatever, but I'm just enjoying it so much I can't help but smiling on my face, and you can see it's sincere, because I'm just having a great time. But I have one thing. I've developed a profound respect for the industry in that regard. And you can see a lot of them, they turn to controlled substances or drugs and everything to help, take the pain away so they can get out there. I just think a show could be millions of dollars put behind the show, and all that pressure on somebody like,
Right.
like a Madonna show, or like Bruce Springsteen or whatever. They got to get out there. They got to do what they have to do, and they just have to be in the right frame of mind to do it. And, that's challenging. So I've learned that from what I've been doing here. I've learned that, no matter what, it's almost like you have a strong mental how to brainwash yourself. And again, discipline. I think about you again, MMA. I talked about my buddy that's a third-degree black belt, and the discipline he had, and just applied it to everything in life. Just makes life go by a lot smoother. The same thing with any industry. I'm just talking about entertainment. To have that structure. Structure is key.
Yeah, it's across the board, I think. No matter what entertainment you do, even if it's athletic or otherwise, like, there's going to be days where as a person, you're just not feeling it. Like, you don't want to go do this, and yet, that's what you chose as a career. And, people are like there for you. So you have to be disciplined enough to just be like, you know what? They don't deserve me phoning it in. I chose this. I have to give it my all. And I think usually once you kind of just go anyway and do what you got to do, it comes back to you where you're like, oh, this is great. This is what I do. Never mind. I'm over it. I've gone to the gym with a hangover before, and I'm like, I really don't want to do this. And then it was the best workout I ever had. I felt like $1 million. Once the blood flows, I don't have a headache, and it's like I feel like a bajillion bucks, because this is the best workout I've had in a long time. And to think I was like, I don't really feel like going and doing this. And it's like, once you push yourself, it ends up being the cure. And you're like, oh, this is great. This turned out to be the best example of what I'm capable of in a long time. So I think we owe it to ourselves to push ourselves. You can't always rely on other people to give you that shoe up the ass and be like, you need to do it. It comes from us, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that have to do it. No one can do it for us.
That's the mistake that a lot of people do in their mind. They think, well, I need to garner strength from this person, okay? And it feels that way. relationships or friends, whatever that you get going a string. Yeah, it's like you call it therapy and everything. You help talk to vent, but you're venting because of yourself, not because of the person. The person, if they in the right frame of mind themselves and they have some understanding of human behavior and they're noble, they're truly someone that cares about you, they can help you that way. But the true, long lasting effect of where the change and the positive behavior is going to come from stems from yourself and constantly working on yourself, because we are all a work in progress.
Right. Absolutely. Always room for improvement.
But Keith, I want to thank you for having me on your show today. It's
Oh,
been a pleasure. And again, what you shared on the show here, you're an inspiration for me. And, there's so many people out there, I hope they're listening to what we're talking about now. Because no matter what you have, everyone has a certain amount, has that positive feel, whether it be entertainment or anything. I encourage everybody to go out and find their niche. You could work like me. I'm a guy behind a desk and I'm doing this, but, find something that's going to make you feel good and do it in a sense that's going to be camaraderie with other people. Okay? Let's try and all work on that. Okay? It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a singer. You don't have to be an entertainer. You could be a masonry guy, or a woman that's a nurse in a hospital. Okay? Try and mix it up a little bit, because we all have that seed inside us. That nobility of just making people smile.
that's right, man. It's been an honor, dude. Like, I'm so glad you came on. It's been great. And I agree with you completely. Like I always tell people, if what you do doesn't give you butterflies, there's nothing worth doing in it, because if there's no risk, there's no reward.
It's a great quote. Butterflies. I love it.
You have to have that, or else there's no consequence if you fail.
Mm-hmm.
It has to mean something to you, or else why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
If failing makes you nervous because you really want this, you're on the right track. And if you fail, it's irrelevant as long as you keep pursuing it.
Right. That's the definition of success that we discussed earlier.
Right.
The definition of success, that you failed so many times, you finally got it. But if you would have given up on one of those times before, you never would have got there. But it's in front of you. Keep going through those walls.
Exactly. I'm gonna check out everything you're doing now that I know all your handles and whatnot, and support all of it, because that sounds like a blast, and that's right up my alley personally. I'm an entertainment dude, so like I love music, I love entertainment in general. And I don't look at all the gloom and doom of life, man. I want to kind of get my mind off of all that, because I'm one of those people, if I think too much, it's not a good time. So I'll be checking out all your handles, man. You kind of put them all out there for me, so which is cool. So I can Instagram and all that. I can check you out and see more of what you're doing.
Johnny. The main one is I guess the website right now, it's being revamped, but SohoJohnny.com. We have an email blast on that. That would be the first. And of course, Instagram, YouTube, and I'm not a social media expert. I have somebody helping me with that. I think I have a Twitter account out there. We're going to have, and once we have this platform established, which is coming, we're going to have our own channel on the internet and distributing across the world and a few of these shows. It's going to be fun. A reality show, comic book. I'm going to be hosting something. But again, it's all going to be under the umbrella of what we're talking about somehow tied to humanity. There'll be a little charity aspect. The business will be there too, because you have to. It's realist. That's how we,
of course,
it's our structure. But we'll try to always keep it that way. And at the end of the day, it's going to be about fun. It's going to be about just outreach and getting people to have a great time. A true celebration of life.
Well, expect me to be on that mailing list, because I'm going to go do that like today. So that way I can keep up. And then you'll have my email too. So I'll definitely have you back if you want to come back, and we'll talk about whatever you got going on. That hopefully this nonsense won't hinder it too much, and you can kind of go back to the original plan and see how that blows up the way it was supposed to. And I'm sure this will pass in, just a matter of time. And you'll be able to kind of see this without it being so digital. And I want to be a part of that, man. I want to do some traveling and check this out. So
Thank you. It would be my pleasure. And we'll forge forward. And everybody out there, forge forward. Henceforward.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'll be joining the mailing list. So let me know what's going on. And if things do pan out for Montreal in December, maybe I'll see you there. So
We're looking forward to that. This Scott Page.
yeah,
We'll be able to get that. Scott's going to be coming. He's got a show going in, I think, Philadelphia at the end of this month. So he may be coming up this neck of the woods. Looking forward to that. And Scott, as I say, we've been talking about some tech platform, and I'm not going to take away his dander here, but he's a great guy, philanthropist, and what he did for the Watts Conservatory for underprivileged children back then with his show was fantastic, and he's very prominent, well loved in the industry, and deservedly so. My buddy Scott Page. I mean, there's one quote, a famous quote he always says. He says, "John, the only thing that matters is the moment right now. History's behind us. The future's not here yet, but right now, the moment that we're living."
absolutely.
You ask him, like, what's the finest part of entertainment? He says, when I'm up there performing.
Yep, that's all you got.
Passion, when we're out there, like we're doing the show here, we're on the stage, and that energy, that connection with the audience, it's addictive. And and if you have the positive feeling that you're doing something good for outreach for other people, my God, what better nirvana is that? Outside of course, family and loved ones and kids, where that's here. But over here, to be able to have that little mini vacation,
Right.
and that's so much needed now during this pandemic. So we'll see it through.
Yeah, I mean, I've had Scott, I've had Perkins, I've had Olson, all be like, you got to come out. We got to have a beer together and whatever. And I was like, I'll be there, dude. And
Kenny's a great guy. Perkins, they're all talented guys. They're great guys. I was with them all when I was out in LA last year, and we had a blast.
amazing people. And then Eileen's like, yeah, I'm supposed to be there. So we'll hang out. We'll have a blast. I'm like, consider me there. Like, let's just do this. And now you're going to be there potentially. And, who knows who else I'll come across that's supposed to be there. And it might just be a huge party, I look forward to it.
My pleasure, Keith.
Well, thanks a lot, man. I respect your time. I don't want to take up more of it because you've given so much of it, and I'm sure you got a lot going on. So, I appreciate that. It's been an honor, dude. So much fun talking to you, and I hope to talk to you again. Definitely.
Thank you. We certainly will do that, and we'll continue our quest here. And if I come on again, hopefully I'm going to have a lot more interesting stuff to put out to the audience. Let's have fun.
Absolutely, man. Thanks a lot, man. And I know you're just going to keep kicking ass. So it's just a matter of whether it's digitally or in person. It's it's just semantics at this point. No matter what, you're going to do it. So it's just a matter of how you deliver at this point.
And so will you, just even by just doing this show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
You're touching a lot of people in a positive way, a positive role model way.
One can only hope. I mean,
definitely. Oh, definitely. Yes.
I try, to do what I can, and I mean, that's all we can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks a lot, man, and I hope the rest of your day goes awesome, and thanks for your time.
God bless. Every day is a blessing and a gift. Let's put a smile. Everybody listening, put a smile on someone's face after they listen to this broadcast. Thank you again, Keith.
Hey, thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate you.
So that was my boy SohoJohnny. Deep conversation. Got a little heavy there for a little bit, but it was nice, human to human. And not just celebrity to celebrity, but human to human. It was nice to kind of talk as people. Not all business. And I really enjoyed it. I really did. And I'm honored to call him my friend now. We have all these mutual celebrity friends, and it's just like, you get to meet some really cool people and very down to earth, very real people. And I think Hollywood gets that bad rap of everybody's fake and whatever. That's not the case. Not in my experience. With the people I get to know and become friends with, there's some really, really cool people that are very genuine, very sweet. And SohoJohnny is definitely one of those people. So I hope to speak to him on the show again. Of course, he's my friend. I'll get him on again. Don't you worry if you were interested and you dug the show. But in the meantime, I got so many other guests coming, so there'll never be a boring fucking time. Don't worry. The guests keep on coming. The celebrities keep joining. So don't you worry, man. Your boy's got a good reputation in Hollywood, so I got a lot of guests on the way. I appreciate your support. Thanks for checking out the show. I hope it was fun for you. I hope it didn't get too depressing and too serious and too heavy. But sometimes that's life, right? Sometimes you got to talk about real life stuff, so it is what it is, man. I hope it didn't bum you out. I hope it gave you maybe motivation. Thanks for listening, bro. I'll check you guys later. Thanks again for all your support. It's been a crazy year of doing this show, and I would like to think that we've only gotten better, and we'll continue to get better. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. You never know. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate you. Take care of yourselves out there. Stay safe with all this crazy pandemic shit, and we will catch you down the road.
I will not speak to your smallness, a destruction of the fear in us. I have yet to know what I should